Some.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. So, good evening. So, today we are going to have our session on Bhagavatam, third canto, 14th chapter, 26 to 39. First of all, I must thank Ram Jas Prabhuji and Radhika Mataji and all the Sadhgurus for giving me this opportunity today be in front of you all to take this session. So, as I was mentioning to you, so this is my first session before all of you. So, as everyone says, everything good is Krishna and the blessings of all of you. And if anything is not going to be so good, please pardon me. That's my mistakes. So I would like to correct myself from that. Thank you so much. So we will now get into the session. Okay, we'll start with the prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottam, Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudarive, Kashtaprayusha Bhatreshu, Nityam Bhagavati Sevaya, Bhagavati Uttamasloke, Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki, Om Jnanatim Ramdasya, Jnananjana Salakya, Chakshu Militam Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Chaitanya Mano Vishtam Papitam Yena Putali Swayam Rupakata Maikyam Tadati Swapatatikam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Yena Pando Jakatpate Totesha Topika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastuti Sapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Krishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Pancha Kalpataru Yascha Kripa Sindhu Yevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nami Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatari Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta. All of you can join. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. So we are in Canto 3, Chapter 14. So as we all know, this Chapter 14 is something special, which talks about the incident involving Diti and Kashyapa, right? So what is that main incident, you think? Because yesterday Radhika Mataji was so nice in explaining all the background, about the involving Diti and Kashyapa and the circumstances of that particular incident and the implication of that particular incident. Right? So what is that incident involving Diti and Kashyapa? Or rather, what will be that? What is the topic of this particular chapter, chapter 14?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji Dhanatapana. Prabhuji, the
Hare
main
Krishna.
aspect what I feel, this Kashyap
Dhanatapana.
Rishi knows everything. Kashyap Rishi knows everything, but he could not able to control, to explain Diti. For that, it is not time for suitable for this thing. So this is the main things. If you are having knowledge, so you should, when if you are having knowledge and if you are having no determination, then it will happen. Of course, you know everything, but there is no dedication, no determination, then suddenly this will cause some other effect like that, Prabhuji. Actually, this comes from mindset.
Okay,
if your
fine.
mind is weak, senses, let it be
So
senses, whatever they want, we have to just follow. But if your mind is strong, why? Because if you are reading the scripture, your intelligence say, no, it's wrong. So you will firm your decision. But if it is like, then it will happen.
fair enough. So there is so the main incident is something about not controlling one's mind, right? So that's what you are highlighting. That's perfect. So the thing is, as we know, the chapter talks about the became becoming pregnant at the evening time. So one might think, the ordinary person's going, so what, right? So that's what we are going to really see in depth in this particular chapter. So if you look at the total context, so far till the 13th chapter, what is happening is that Maitreya Muni and Vidura were discussing about the creation, right? So the creation, they discuss about everything about creation. And then later, subsequent to that, Maitreya Muni and Vidura inquires with Maitreya Muni about the birth of Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha. And in that context, Maitreya Muni began narrating the incident and involving Diti and Kashyapa, because that's is the start from where the demons Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu are coming. I mean, are uh, uh, showing up. Right? It starts from there. So we saw that in the verses 1 to 26, that is Diti's agitation. So the 126, what happens is the first 10 verses, Diti gets agitated because what like Mataji was explaining yesterday, why she got agitated was because of the envy, right? The envy that all the other wives of Kashyapa Muni were actually were blessed with children, but she was not. So she wanted the child, and she, without looking at an appropriate moment for that, she was insisting with her husband, that is Kashyapa Muni, for a child. And though in 11 to 17, Kashyapa Muni, what he does, he glorifies the Lord and also the chastity of his wife. And then what he says, but that was not an appropriate time because it was already twilight. And in twilight, sacred actions could be happening because it is the time when Shiva and his bhutas, they all, it is influenced by that, by them. So it was not an appropriate time. So it was inauspicious. So that's what we saw in 18 to 23, right? So Lord Shiva and associates, they wandered at that time. And the atmosphere is influenced by subtle and disturbing energies. So it was not a right time. But then in 24 to 26, what we saw, Diti still persisted with that. And because of that, Kashyap Muni, what he has to do, he had to oblige her. And out of compassion for Diti, he has to oblige her. Though he knew, Kashyap Muni very well knew that it was not appropriate and it was not auspicious. So what is the learning we had from all this from 1 to 26 is that when we have an uncontrolled desire, what happens is that it obscures the intelligence. It actually submerges the one's intelligence. So when the intelligence is obscured, what happens is that we tend to fall. So that is one of the big learnings. And the next learning is also, if you look at the time, anything and everything should be done at a proper time. If we do not do at a proper time, what happens is that the things will not turn out to be auspicious, right? If certain things which we have to do in the afternoon, if we do it in the morning time, will it give us any advantage? No. So even we have seen, in the history also, great generals, they used to go for wars. Many of the great generals have lost wars because the time of their waging the war was inappropriate, right? So, for example, we have the great Napoleon. So he lost the war. Why? Because he tried to invade France in winter, which is very cold during that time. So he invade Russia. Russia in winter is very, very cold. Even otherwise, it's very cold. So what happened when he tried to wage a war at that time? He lost. So for even in the materialist thing, it is like that. So in divine, for in our spiritual world, it is much more, right? So we have to understand that. So time influences everything, and time influences the consciousness as well. And we see that good advice should be also accepted, because Kashyapa Muni, he advised that it was not appropriate. But then she insisted, right? So good advice must be accepted, but not following the good advice is also will make one fall down. So that's also important. More than anything, sense control is also very, very essential. Prabhuji also just highlighted, unless there is sense control, what happens is that we will definitely fall down. Right? We know things, but if we don't implement it, or if we don't practically use it, what happens? It's of no use. Anything, we may have some sophisticated device. Let us say we may have the best of the gadgets, but if we don't know how to use it, it is just a useless thing in our hand, right? It is like that. So then let us now move forward to see, okay, what is going to be the outlook of the verses which we are going to see, that is today, that is 27 to 39. What happens is that DT, we know that definitely she has come from a good background only. But then what happened was Maya has engulfed her, and then she had fallen down because she succumbed to her senses, right? But, but then immediately after that, what happens is that she realizes a mistake, she prays, and then she wants to do atonement for that. Right? That also we are going to see. And at the end of it, what was Kashyapa Muni's prediction. These are all things that we are going to see further. Yeah? So now I will share my screen so we can look at the verses. Hare Krishna. So, Srimad Bhagavatam 14.20, 14 by 20 to 39. That's what we are going to see today. And see the topic, it says that micro choices create macro realities. So what does that mean? The micro choices. What are the micro choices? Diti chose to not control her senses. That's a micro thing, a small thing. As far as a big paraphernalia is concerned, the small thing is Diti forgot, or rather, Diti could not control his senses. So what did that result in? The macro. What is that macro event? Macro event was that two demons had come into were to come into this world. And whereas Lord Shiva had the macro control, he had the control of the material energy of the Lord. So that is so huge. The material energy is unfathomable, right? Such the material energy is there, and in that material energy actually had influenced Biti, and Biti had this the failure, and because of that she could not control her senses, and she fell. So that is what is a, so we have to be very careful. So the micro failure also will definitely impact us. Because we have a tendency to say that, okay, it's a small thing, it's only a small failure, or I just, we may fail to observe certain things, but that can have a macro effect also. Similarly, a macro effect will definitely influence the micro effect. So that we clearly understand from verses that we are going to see today. So in this verses 26 to 29, we are going to see the exemplar of detachment. That is, when you practice detachment, or when you are detached, what are the exemplary things that would happen? So that's what we are going to see, verses 26 to 29. And 30 to 31, the fall and the forbidden. That is, if we do not actually control our senses, or if we do not abide by the shastras, or abide by what we are supposed to do, what will happen? The fall. And then the third is that from 32 to 36, that we realize, and there's remorseness, when they exhibit the remorseness and appeal to the mercy of mercy of the Lord and the devotees, what happens that we are going to see, and the prophecy that, okay, the consequence, what would be, is be clearly understood in 37 to 39. So we go in. So that's what it says, a single decision, the moment of untold desire, that a single decision became seed for the birth of the two antagonists. Who are the two antagonists? That is Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. Right? So now we go on to verse 3.14.26. Nayasya loke swajana paruva natyadunotha kashchid bigre vyayamumrate charana pravitam asasmane jagam patabhuttapokam. So what is mentioned is Lord Shiva regards no one as his relative, yet there is no one who is not. He does not regard anyone as very favorable or abominable. We respectfully worship the remnants of his footsteps. We vow to accept what is rejected by him. So, what is highlighted here is that Lord Shiva, he does not try to favor anybody. He is not partial. That he does not care for the material prosperity, but then that like we are all eager, but then he is quite detached. And how he is, his character, he's not partial. Everyone is connected to Shiva because we are in this material world. And who is the presiding deity of material world? It is Shiva, right? Because Durga, or rather the Maya Devi, he is his wife, right? And her husband is Shiva. So he is completely, he is the person who is connected to all the devotees, or all of us here in this material world. And also says here, see, normally this in our devotional journey, we all like to accept prasada, right? So prasada, in fact, we also touched upon in our SPA session. The prasada is quite auspicious because it is being touched by great devotees or by the Lord. So here he says the Shiva, whatever is the remnants of the food from Shiva is called as Mahaprasada. Can anyone say why Shiva, the remnants from Shiva is considered as a Mahaprasada?
Because it has been first
Like the
offered
great
to Lord
devotee.
Vishnu, and that prasad has been given to Lord Shiva. Then it becomes Mahaprasad.
Because
The
Prabhu,
greatest
he is one of the
devotee.
greatest
Devotee.
Vaishnava. He
He's
is one
not
of
a
the
Mehta.
Mahajananas also.
So,
Haribol, yeah. He's a Vaishnava. He is the topmost Vaishnava, right? So that's why he said that Krishna's prasada, we call it as the remnants from Krishna, after worshipping Krishna is prasada, but then from Shiva it is called as Mahaprasada. That's what Prabhupada also highlights in this purport. That is, the remnants of Shiva's food is called Mahaprasada. And as we know, that the remnants from the devotees is Shiva, Krishna considers that as much higher than the prasad by its own, right? That's what he says. So that is why we know that we have, if we satisfy the devotees, we are able to satisfy the Lord also. So that is very evident. And Shiva in his incarnation, or rather in his, in his what's the right word for that? Yeah. As he is before us, he is so great that he does not care for the material prosperity. That's the problem. And what is condition? But we are touched upon the material. We want this, we want that, and all that. But then we have all begun our journey towards Krishna. We all want to go to Govinda. We have started our journey, but then we have to be extremely careful that we don't get ourselves engulfed with that desire for material things. So that's very, very important to us. So what we have to do is that we have to respect the devotees' humility And we also have to value the spiritual prasada over the riches. Instead of wanting riches, we have to be spiritual. So we move on to the next verse. Would anybody like to read the verse? 3.14.27.
Prabhuji, shall I read 27 text?
Yeah, please. Please.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Yasya Charitam Manishino Grunantya Vidya Patalam Bibitsavaha Nirasta Samyatishayopi Yet Swayam Pishachacharyam Acharat Gatihi Satam. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. We can also read the text of the translation.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Although no one in the
Krishna.
material world is equal to or greater than Lord Shiva, and although his unimpeachable character is followed by great souls to dismantle the mass of nuisance, he nevertheless remains as if a devil to give salvation to all devotees of the Lord. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. What it says is that the Shiva character is a great character, you know that. But and is followed by great souls. All the great souls, Muni, Rishis, everyone, they follow him. And what is Shiva's Dautya? What is his what is his work? It is to dismantle the mass of naysayers, that's ignorance, right? But then he nevertheless remains as a devil to give salvation to all the devotees of the Lord. What is the word devil here? You're calling Shiva as a devil. Can anyone explain what is it? Although his unimpeachable character is followed by great souls to dismantle the mass of the, that is to remove ignorance, he nevertheless remains as a devil to give salvation to all the devotees of the Lord. What does it mean? Any thoughts?
Because he's called Ashutosh and he is very, kind to everyone. He does not discriminate. That's what I can think of.
Yeah, but what is this particular word devil? Devil is normally associated something with negative, right?
Prabhuji is called Bhutanath. He is in charge of all the bhutas. Maybe that one. Bhuta Pretas.
Is it in the meaning like is he stubborn or obstinate? Like he want to do it he want to liberate the devotees at any cost.
Okay.
Prabhu, is it
Okay.
because he is kind of detached all the time, just meditating on the Lord in any kind of place, like the places like we see in the picture, graveyard and things like.
Hare Krishna
You're
Prabhu,
close
he
to
is
that.
a destroyer of in charge of Tamoguna, no Prabhu. So he will
Yeah.
destroy all those thoughts like thing, Prabhu, like pride and Tamoguna things destroyed.
Yeah. It's a combination of what all of you had just expressed. The thing is, for the ordinary person, he may be appearing like a devil. He's got a devilish appearance, right? Like you all said, what he has got skull smala, he has got, right? He is in the smasana, he has got all the ashes and all over him. For a normal person, at first glance, they'll say, oh, what is it? It appears like a devil. His appearance is like a devil. But what he is actually, he is a great devotee, right? Shiva is great. And he may appear uncivilized, but not. His characteristics are never abominable. His characteristics are also exalted. But for an ordinary person, it may appear devilish. That is what is being mentioned here. Shiva has got unimpeachable character. He's an excellent character, right? But then the people ignorant people may mistake him to be devilish. It is not the appearance should not mislead somebody. So, but then it is a guise, that is, we say, in the guise of a devilish appearance, he is exuding the, what do you call it, unimpeachable characters. So he is such an exalted personality, though he appears in the guise of a devilish person. So that is what it is. So salvation, if one wants to attain salvation, we have to follow the footsteps of Lord Shiva. Because as we know, he's always in meditation. Right? Whom does Shiva meditate upon?
Sankarsana?
Whenever he is in meditation. Yes.
Sankarsana.
Sankarsana. So that way, all the devotees, we have to always follow his footsteps and always meditate upon the Lord. So that is what he's setting an example. And as you also mentioned, Sasatosha, that is, he can easily satisfy Krishna, and he is very merciful as well. That we will be seeing as we move forward. So we have to learn detachment from Krishna, from Shiva. Learn detachment from the exemplary devotee like Shiva, because he is a very exalted devotee. And avoid judging by external appearances. We should not judge the external appearances. Here, I would like to just emphasize this. For example, when we go out or when we are going to for certain occasions, we take great pains to dress ourselves in a particular way. Right? You have seen anyway, when you go to a wedding or when you go to any of the some occasions, we try to dress to the occasion. But then we attach so much importance for that. But what does Krishna say? What does our devotional practice, what we should be actually adhering to? It should be simple living, right? It should be very simple. But so that's what again in the nectar of devotion, nectar of instruction also, what we have learned when we go to the temple or when we go to when you're going to be with devotees and situations like that, we have to be humble. So when we learn to be humble and when you learn to be simple, what happens is that we would not care much on how we look or how we are going to appear. It is not for others we have to really dress upon. The appearance for others, it doesn't really matter. We have to be simple and how it can be favorable to the Lord. So that should be in our mind always. Because I have come across many situations wherein suppose we go for yatras and all that. How would the public want to look at our devotees? Suppose from ISKCON, we are all going for a yatra, let us say. So people from outside, they have certain expectation of a devotee. So we have to really live up to that, So we can't really go there, be in shorts, or we cannot be in so-called modern dress and things like that. So it's very, very inappropriate, right? So in case we are, trying to show ourselves in a different way, then definitely our position also gets lowered. So even when we dress such way for an occasion like this, when we go for yatra, unless we are going to be very, very conservatively attired, what happens? We will not also have that right frame. I've heard many times Namaste Prabhuji saying, that you go to yatra, people move around, go for shopping. That's not our objective. So our mind should be trained and tuned towards being very simple. So we have to be attired for the occasion, the right attire for the right occasion, and the right behavior also we should be exuding. So that's what should be in the mind of all the devotees. Okay, so we already saw that how a divine form can appear devilish. That is if we are ignorant and we are not understanding the main purpose, it may appear devilish. So what is the lesson we understand from Shiva's conduct? One has to be very, very humble. We have to be devoted, and we cannot judge people by external appearance. That's what he asked. So we move on to 28. Would anybody like to read that? Sloka?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Shall I read Prabhuji? Hare Krishna.
Hare, please, Mataji.
Hare
Please.
Krishna. Hasanti yasya charitam hi durbaga swatan rataskya syavidusha samihitam yai vastramalya varananulepanai shvabojanam swatatayopa lalitam. Hare Krishna. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Unfortunate, foolish persons, not knowing that he is engaged in his own self, laugh at him. Such foolish persons engage in maintaining the body which is eatable by dogs with dresses, ornaments, garlands, and ointments. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dhanyavad.
Hare Krishna. Unfortunately, foolish persons, not knowing that he is engaged in his own self, laugh at him. Such foolish persons engage in maintaining the body, which is eatable by dogs, with dresses, ornaments. That's what we just discussed. That is, most of the people in the materialistic, who go after materialistic happiness, what they do is that they try to expose themselves, right? Which is not proper. Or in an inappropriate way, they try to exhibit themselves. Such people, Prabhupada calls them foolish. Foolish persons engage in maintaining the body. They think body is everything, right? And they try to make the body more beautiful with dresses, ointments, garlands, and all that, makeup and all these. That's what they call the garland. So, foolish people, such foolish people, they mock Shiva. And they call him that as a devil, because of a devilish appearance that we saw in the previous verse. So, material adornment is temporary. Adorning yourself, material is very temporary. So, the true purpose is misunderstood. So, what is it? Hare Krishna. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Yeah, thank you. So, foolish persons only mock Shiva. So, the true purpose of our life is misunderstood. And they say here is this body maintained for dogs. I want to highlight here one example. You have heard of our ex-Prime Minister. You have heard of Dr. P.V. Narasimha Rao. You have heard of him, all of you? He was the Prime Minister of India, right?
Yes.
You know what happened to him when after death? The funeral pyre was lit and all that, and after that everybody went away, I believe. And eventually the dogs came and feasted on its remains. So he may be a great person or rather a very important person. So he is the Prime Minister of India, but eventually his body was actually at the end feasted on by the dogs. So whatever we do to the body is only a futile actually. So Lord Shiva never accepts any luxurious dress, garland or ornaments or any sort of makeup or anything like that. He doesn't. So that's what we learn. We have to learn is that we have to be very simple. We have to have austerity in our life. When we have austerity, automatically we will be in a position to progress in our spiritual life. To whom we should offer luxuries? To Krishna. Even Shiva, he knows that Krishna is opulent, right? All the, if you see ornaments and nice dresses, everything, wealth, everything is enjoyed by, to be enjoyed by Krishna. It's offered to Krishna. But we should not imitate Krishna. That we should. So we should live a simple living, and then our mind should be trained for what? For devotion. So that is what is the very clear message that we understand from this shloka. So we should not imitate Krishna, the Shiva, the sense. Some people try to imitate Shiva in the wrong way also. Because Shiva, we know that he drank poison. So in order to show off that they are all devotees of Shiva, if they try to do that, what will happen? It will be ending in disaster. So that one should not imitate Shiva wrongly. So should imitate Shiva in the right way. What is it? Be humble, be simple, and then we have to be a great devotee of the Lord. So that we should understand. Now let's move on to 29. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Shloka 29. Shloka 29. Brahmadayo yat kruta setupala yat karanam vishwamidham cha maya ajñakari yasya pishachacharya aho vibhum nascharitam vidambanam. Translation. Demigods like Brahma also follow the religious rites observed by him. He is the controller of the material energy, which causes the creation of material world. He is great, and therefore his devilish characteristics are simply imitation. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. So demigods like Brahma also follow the religious rites observed by him. By who? Shiva. He is the controller of the material energy, and it causes the creation of the material world. He is great, and therefore his devilish characteristics are simply an imitation. His outward appearance is just a guise. Right? So when the key teachings, what we learn from this sloka is that demigods also follow Shiva's rites. They follow Shiva because he's an exalted devotee. And as I mentioned to you, the devilish characteristics is only an external appearance. He may appear externally like a devilish characteristics, but he is not that. He does not do any sort of abominable action. Shiva does not carry on any abominable action. He's the controller of the material energy, and it is the cause of the material world. Yes. So we follow Shiva's for renunciation, but don't imitate all of the other acts. So we recognize the representative roles in the scripture, but and we follow his devotion to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is very, very important. Shiva, Lord Shiva is the example for devotion, for detachment. So he is not attached to anything. He is completely detached. You know, in when Daksha, I remember that because of Shiva's appearance, he actually insulted him, right? We all know that. So what happened by insulting Shiva? Daksha had to face that consequence. So we should not go by the external appearance. We should know the person's greatness. So that is the learning for us from this particular shloka. So in this, there's one question which I think we can definitely try and understand. What is the role of Shiva regarding Maya? What do you think?
He is the husband of Mahamaya.
He is husband of Maya.
Controls her. He controls her.
He controls her. Yeah.
Yes. He is the husband of Maya, right? He controls. So he plays an important part in the creation also, right? That we understand, creation of the material world.
He is not affected by her having so much of material opulence.
Exactly. So this is all learnings for us. He is such an exalted devotee, but in spite of all those things, does he exhibit his, I would say, character like that? No. He always projects himself as a devotee of the Lord. So that is what we have to look at. The next one. Who would like to read the next one?
Married? Yeah.
Please.
Maitreya Vacha. Yeah. Maitreya Vacha. Saivam samvidite bhartra manmaton matitendriya jagraha vaso brahmarsher vrashaliva kata krapa. Translation by Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada ki jai. Maitreya said, Diti was thus informed by her husband, but she was pressed by Cupid for sexual satisfaction. She caught hold of the clothing of the great Brahmana sage, just like a shameless public prostitute. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So what we saw in the previous verses is that about how, if we are actually detached, what it can really bring us, what advantage that it can give us is what we saw. So detachment, austerity, and all that if we practice, what benefits we can derive. It's all here. Right? So now we are now going to see that if we don't, if we don't control our senses, what is going to happen? So that is what we are going to see. So in this sloka, what we are Maitreya saying, Diti was thus informed by her husband, but she was pressed for Cupid for sexual satisfaction. She caught hold of the clothing of the great Brahmana sage at a shameless price. So what does that mean? See, in this, her strong sex urge is depicted, and it is shameful, right? And a person like Diti is compared to a prostitute. So why it is being compared like that is that in public or rather in the open, what happens is that Diti is catching hold of the clothing of her husband, and she is her actions were inappropriate. So that is normally done by shameless people. If you look at today's situation, unfortunately, we find all these things happening. You see a lot of Hiranyakshas in the Kali Yuga. And similarly, we find that persons like this, like inappropriate behavior in the public. So today, we may pass it off now, it's a modern world, but it is not true. So we should very clearly understand it should be imbibed in everyone on what is appropriateness and what is not appropriate. So such an action is very, very inappropriate because it only brings out the materialistic tendencies of a person. So the difference between a married wife and a public prostitute is what? The married wife follows the rules and regulations of the scriptures, but whereas a public prostitute doesn't, right? So that's a big difference. So at no point should one actually fall or succumb to the senses. One must be aware of the situation and environment also. So without that, definitely one will certainly fall down, or other actions will become considered as very heinous. So we have to be extremely careful on that. So, but why did a person like Diti do it? It is all because her mind was only on material satisfaction or desire. It is about the material satisfaction, the desire or the envy that she should also have a child. So that propelled her into all these actions. So one has to be very careful. So we have to uphold the spiritual regulations and be fully trained in sense control. Without sense control, one is bound to fall down. So how does the scriptures distinguish between regulated sex from prostitution? It is because you have to follow how do we answer this question? How does scriptures distinguish regulated sex from prostitution?
Only for the
Hare Krishna.
Krishna conscious children, according to scriptures.
Yes.
We have to train our mind.
Yes. We have to follow the regulations. So we do not have self-control again, although we do follow the regulations, just follow. So we go to 31. Can somebody, Prabhuji, you can read this.
31. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dhanavad Pranam. Sa viditva bharyaya sa tam nirbandham vikramani Natvadhisthaya rahasi tayatho pavivesahi. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, A.C. Vedanta Swami Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Understanding his wife's purpose, he was obliged to perform the forbidden act, and thus, after offering his obeisances unto worshipful fate, he lay with her in secluded places.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare
Understanding his wife's purpose, he was obliged to perform forbidden act, and thus, after offering his obeisances into worshipable faith, he lay with her in a secluded place. So we saw how the senses were not controlled. So they gave prominence to the desires. And we saw that if one does not control the desires, one loses the intelligence and eventually you fall. Here, understanding the wife's purpose, what Kashyapa did, he obliged. So before obliging what he did, he also offered obeisances to the worshipful deities. So before, what we understand from this is that even if you are performing, or rather if you are falling to the senses, falling prey to the senses, offering obeisances to faith for transgression is happening. Actually, that is a materialism. So if one is going to do some abominable thing or irresponsible thing, offering obeisances, is that going to help? It's definitely not really going to help. But what is going to help is that controlling oneself is very, very important. Okay? So yeah, we would, even we know the, can you tell me from Shastra whether there was any similar situation where any other exalted devotee was induced to fall prey to such desires, sexual desires, and where he overcame that?
Haridas Thakura.
Ji, Prabhuji,
Very bold. That's a very good example. Because for Haridas Thakura, when that prostitute, she was there with him continuously for a couple of days, did he fall down? He did not fall down. So if one's mind is completely in control, whatever is the situation, one will never fall down. So that
Even
is the
Arjuna
difference.
and Urvashi, Prabhuji? Arjuna and Urvashi, no?
Yes, we can say that as well. Yeah.
But
we can say that even at the level of a sage, exalted sage, if we have to really equate it on the right plane, we can definitely take the example of Haridas Thakura. Yeah. So this is very important. You can choose. One can choose how to act. One can choose how to behave. One can really choose how to express. How? If you are controlled, trained in devotion, he will never. If you are filled with Krishna, and if you are a very staunch person who is following the four regulative principles, and whatever is the Shastra says, one would never fall down because he will have that self-control. But then, in this situation, it was slightly different. So we have to strengthen our personal discipline. If the personal discipline is not strengthened, definitely we have a tendency to fall down. So Krishna consciousness is there to be sought for protection always. So if we don't follow the Krishna consciousness, or if we don't control our senses, we will be in a tough situation like this. So an interesting situation arises here. It can come into our mind. So when does the obligation override discipline? So you are compelled. You are in a particular situation, and you have to do what you call a vikarma. You should do a vikarma because you are in a particular situation. So what do you think such situation can be, and how can one overcome that? So this happens in our daily life every time, right? We may be in a particular situation, we are in a particular spot, and then we have to overcome that. So what do you think is the best way to handle such situations? to follow discipline, but
Choose
then
the right path. Choose the right path.
yeah, go ahead, Mother.
We have to choose the right path.
Chant, Prabhuji. We have to chant more and more.
Strong
Very good.
Krishna consciousness, we have to do the
Exactly.
practice.
So as Mataji was mentioning, chanting, right? So that cleanses you. So your mind doesn't deviate into anything. So if you are going to do anything which is not correct, which is against the discipline, definitely when you chant, right? When you have a very strong, controlled mind, when you choose that way, definitely you can.
We have to take devotees association also, Prabhuji. Devotees association. That will
Devotee
help us.
association, yes. So first of all, you should not get into such situation where you are in such a spot. Correct. Absolutely. Devotee association also helps. But you know, Kashyapa Muni is also an exalted person. So how did it all happen? It's all, you know, it's all God's Leela, right? So in order to Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha to come into this material world and to perform that Leela, all these things have to happen, it happened. But that is one way. But then the learnings, what one should take home is all these aspects that we just discussed. Okay, now let us move on to 32. Hare Krishna. Who would like to read the Hare Krishna?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yes, Mataji, continue. I'll do next.
Okay. Hare Krishna. अतोपस्पृश्य सलिलं प्राणान् आयम्य वाग्यतः ध्यायन् जजाप व्रजं ब्रह्मज्योति सनातनम्. Translation. Thereafter, the Brahmana took his bath in the water and controlled his speech by practicing trance, meditating on the eternal effulgence and chanting the holy Gayatri hymns within his mouth. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
And meditating on the eternal effulgence and chanting the holy Gayatri hymns in his mouth. So what happened after that is, who is the Brahmana? Kashyapa Muni, right? He took his bath, cleansed himself, and then he went into meditation. So meditating on what? Meditating on the eternal effulgence. What does that mean? On whom is Haribol, on Brahmajyoti. He's meditating on the Brahmajyoti. So is he a devotee of the Lord or is he a devotee of Shiva?
Devotee of Shiva.
Shiva.
Yeah. Right. So that is it. So if only he was a devotee of the Lord, if he had the realization, if he only was a pure Vaishnava, he wouldn't have fallen down, right? So that is again that we coming out of this particular sloka. He is meditating on the impersonal Brahmajyoti. That's what we are talking. It's coming out. So ritual purifications are performed after he's trying to purify himself because he knew he had committed this act was not right. So ritual purification was performed. Then he goes into a trance and with japa. Okay, here the one question. What is the difference between japa and kirtan? We all know, but still. What is the difference?
Is loudly sung among the devotees and for others as well. And japa is for ourselves. We chant in a tone audible to us.
Correct. So only the chanter hears, right? When it is that, when we are doing that, then it is japa. So when it is the congregation, when everybody hears it sung loudly, it is kirtan. Yes, we all know that. Right? So use japa for immediate protection. When we are in trouble or when mind is there, when we have such a situation, use japa for immediate protection. That will protect. Then practice purification after transgression. So, transgression, then you practice purification. So you do rituals and you do japa, but one should earnestly feel for it, right? But it cannot be that every time you commit you transgress and then you try to do a purification. No, that is never accepted. We all know that. Right? So just in case if you are in tough situations, it's japa. But then if there is a transgression, eventually you have practice ritual purification. That's what he says. Okay, so Kashyogi Muni meditated upon the impersonal Brahma Jyoti by chanting the Gayatri Mantra in his mouth. This is mentioned here. So here we very clearly understand that Maha Mantra is very powerful, because when you say use japa for protection, means that Maha Mantra, it can overpower any difficult situation and save you. So the power of Maha Mantra and definitely protect everyone from evil. That we should understand. In this, one more thing. Once you chant, if you are really practicing devotional service, the Bhagavad Gita verse, it says about, what is that? Param Dharva Nivartate. What is that? Param Drishta Nivartate. What is that? What does that mean? So what is the meaning of that?
You get a higher taste.
Because of higher
Get
taste.
a higher taste.
Yeah.
Correct. When you are in a higher taste, you never seek the
Give up
lower.
the lower taste.
Exactly. So that is what it is. So higher taste is Krishna consciousness. That should always be the back of our mind. So Hare Krishna, 33.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I will read, Prabhuji.
Upasangamaya viparsinato mukti abhyavasata. So it says, oh son of Bharat.
Prabhuji, screen is not changed.
Screen is not there, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu will be joining in a moment because he just lost.
Hare Krishna Mataji, I'm back.
No problem.
Am I audible?
Back into. Yeah, very much audible, Prabhu. I'm making you the host. Yeah.
Thanks. Hare Krishna. I think I got some bad connections. Hare Krishna. One of the Bharata family, he after this went nearer to her husband.
The screen is not shown, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, yes.
Hare, some wrong with the connection today. Okay.
Yes,
am I audible now?
Yes,
okay.
I'll read it.
Thank you.
Yes,
Sorry.
Prabhuji. Titis tu vidita tena. Should I read, Prabhuji? Can you hear me?
Yeah, okay. Please go ahead.
Hare Krishna. Ditistu Viddita Tena Dharma Vadena Bharata Upasangarme Vipas Visim Adho Mukhya Abhibhasata. Translation: O son of Bharata family, Diti, after this went nearer to her husband, her face lowered because of her faulty action. She spoke as follows. Correction.
Correction. So now, what is the mood of Diti? Remorse, right? She knew that what she has done is not quite all right, and she feels remorse, or she feels bad about it. So what she's saying, she goes to her husband, goes near her husband, with her face lowered. So when we do wrong, when we realize that, what happens is that we hang our head in shame, right? That's what we do. Not everybody does. Some people will try to defend, but it's not easy, right? But whoever is honest, whoever is truthful, they definitely will show this what trait what Viti is showing. She hung her head in shame. She understood what she had done is wrong, and she goes to her husband. So natural shame after sin is always it always happens when one is honest. Then you feel down-faced. You don't keep yourself head high and go. When you know that you have done something wrong, you don't hold your head high and go to somebody. You go down-faced. That is when you are honest and when you know that you have committed a wrong deed. But then people who want to cover up things, what they do, they are very haughty. They go with their head high and try to find and all those things, like we see around us nowadays. Because somebody may do a wrong thing and you'll go and argue. That is not the right thing. So when somebody knows that they have done a mistake, they should be humble and then be humble enough to accept and try to understand how they can do things better next time. You have to acknowledge the mistakes honestly. For example, we have seen in our day-to-day life, many a time we may come in for some criticism. Okay. So many people may say, okay, why this person has done like this, or why you have done like this. So many questions that will be confronting us. But then what is the first thing that comes to our mind is to defend. Because we believe that whatever we are doing is correct. But is that a right trait? We should reflect upon that. Many sort of conflicts happen because of that, because one wants to prove that I'm right. My way or highway, that's what people say. That is not the right approach. What a devotee or what, like an advanced devotee, what will be their trait? They will try to first understand, listen, try to understand the other person's point of view. Then it's like a blind spot, we're able to find, oh, I never looked at this angle, this point of view. Yes, I have committed a mistake. Then you will realize, and you will have an opportunity to really correct that. But on the other hand, if you block and then say, no, what I did is right, or I don't even pay heed to what the other person say, then what happens is that we can never improve. We again continue to commit mistakes and we fall down repeatedly. And when we fall down repeatedly, we have no way that we can progress. So spiritual life is very, very important. Again, if you see, we have also come across one of the traits of a Vaishnava is that we should avoid Vaishnava Aprata. So we have to be very, very careful what we say about the other Vaishnavas. But then in our materialistic mood, we try to make all sorts of comments. Without understanding the other person's point of view, should never ever do that. So we should definitely acknowledge mistakes honestly. We should understand, okay, how we reflect on how we made that mistake, and we should avoid that. And then we should seek remedial spiritual practices, not material, spiritual practices. Then only it's a permanent fix. Otherwise, it will only be a quick fix, and again we will do mistakes and mistakes and mistakes on after that. Okay, so that's very, very important. So, how does shame function spiritually? By accepting mistakes honestly. When you accept mistakes honestly, that is possible only when you are when you are spiritually progressing. Then shame functions. in a nice way. That you hang your head in shame and understanding you have done a mistake. Then see what all remedial thing we have to do spiritually. Then you grow. Otherwise, we'll always keep on and on and on doing mistakes. So be extremely careful about that. Now let us move on to 34. Would like to read this?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I'll try. Name gar
Please, good.
Dithyuvacha Name garbhama imam brahma bhutanam rishabho avadhati avadhit rudra patir hi bhutanam yashya karvam amhasam. Translation. The beautiful Diti said, "My dear Brahman, kindly see that my embryo is not killed by Lord Shiva, the Lord of all living entities, because of the great offense I have committed against him." Hare.
So, what did this say? My dear Ravana, kindly see that my embryo is not killed by Shiva, the Lord of all the living entities, because of the offense I have committed. So Diti understands she has done a mistake, and she would have probably triggered Shiva's anger because she did inappropriate thing. That is at the Sandhya, right? The Sandhya is the twilight time. It is for praying, right? We should not, no action, whatever they have done, should never would have been done at all. She understood that, realized the mistake. At the same time, she is also a little bit concerned that due to Shiva's anger, the baby or the embryo in her stomach, in her womb, should not be killed by Lord Shiva. So you know that Shiva has got two phases. One is Rudra, at the same time he's also Ashutosa, right? You know that. But then if Shiva exhibits his Rudra characteristic, she knows that her embryo in her womb is in danger. So what she says is that she tells her husband, because we know that Kashyapa Muni is a devotee of Shiva. So when the devotee is praying to the Lord would certainly listen to that, right? So that instead of her own prayers, if she took the help of her other, if she requested Kashyapa Muni to pray to the Lord on her behalf for their child, then definitely Shiva would definitely listen to that. That's what her understanding was. That's what she thought. So hearing Shiva's anger and for the concern of the embryo in her womb, he made an appeal to Kashyapa Muni, her husband. So we have to, whenever we make a mistake, we intercede or rather we pray to the Lord, sincerely feeling for the mistake. And then when we recognize the consequence of the transgression and do the purification required for that, definitely we have a opportunity for salvation. But we are arrogant? No. That is what we have seen in the previous verse also. So why did, here one question. So why did Diti appeal through her husband?
But Lord Shiva is younger brother of Kashyapa. Kashyapa Rishi.
No, they are her sister's husband.
Is that the only thing?
Brother-in-law.
He's
So
also
is it only because of the they
yeah,
were
because he's
related?
saying Lord of
Because
all living entities.
Co-brother, Prabhu.
Yeah, co-brother.
Yeah, so it's
Is
not
it
because
he also guarded the Pishachas during that time and because of that?
so the simple thing is, as mentioned here, no, because when a devotee appeals or when a devotee prays to the Lord actually relents, right? So that is why, because we know Kashyapa Muni is a great devotee of Lord Shiva. So that is the primary reason. Of course, the other things maybe they will be related, and that's all secondary. But then, when the Lord takes the Rudra form, yeah, he will be, what do you call, he will be pleased only when a devotee appeals to him. So that is why Diti thought, okay, it's better to ask her husband, who is a great devotee of Shiva, what you call, to pray and pacify Lord Shiva. That is the main reason. So how do we seek one divine mercy? That means we have to seek divine mercy through devotees. So we can appeal directly to the Lord, but when the devotees also, put in our case, we definitely the Lord would show His mercy. Is there any other thing in the Shastra, any other situation where, such a situation, the Lord is really angry, and a devotee, when he requests the Lord, he became when he was pacified. Any other thing that comes to your mind?
Prahlad Maharaj.
Hari Bol,
Prepared,
Hari Bol. That is it. Prahlad Maharaj has sorry. Hari Bol. Thank you so much. So now, Hari Bol. Now we have to go to 35. Let's go.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, may I?
Hare Krishna. Yes, please. Go.
Namo Rudraya Mahate Deva Yograya Midhushe Shivaya Nyashta Dandaya Dhrita Dandaya Manyave. Translation: Let me offer my obeisances unto the angry Lord Shiva, who is simultaneously the very ferocious great demigod and the fulfiller of all material desires. He is all auspicious and forgiving, but his anger can immediately move him to chastise. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So let me offer my obeisances unto the angry Lord Shiva, simultaneously the very ferocious great demigod and the fulfiller of all material desires. He's all auspicious and forgiving, but his anger can immediately move him to chastise. That's what we saw. No? Shiva is a Rudra, at the same time he's an Ashtosha. When he's in the Rudra, when he takes that mood, what happens is that he's prone to anger, and when he's an Ashtosha, he's pacified and he's forgiving. So Shiva has both fierce as well as forgiving. That's what we understand from this sloka. So, from this sloka, we understand Shiva's power. Right? He's very ferocious. Using the word ferocious, you can say that he's very fierce. At the same time, he's forgiving. So that is the Krishna's power. The real nature. That's why you see when they go. So when they appeal to Shiva, Shiva immediately obliges and gives them benedictions. Right? It's easy to get benedictions from Shiva because he is easily pleased when the devotees ask him something, when the devotees request him something, doing some austere penance and all that, Shiva immediately obliges. Sometimes he gets into trouble also, no, right? We have seen in the Shastra so many instances that way also. So Shiva is a person who immediately fulfills the desires of all his devotees. So what type of devotees actually pray to Shiva?
Tamasic people who are
What are
tamasic.
Want material opulences, actually. Material opulences.
Ravana attached to material opulences.
Exactly. Whoever wants some materialistic benevolence, they actually pray to Shiva. And Shiva also grants their materialistic requirements because he is a Ashutosh. So that's why, he says, he prayed and said, the Lord can cause me to cry. That is, if he loses an embryo, she feels very sad that she will, right? She wanted a child. But if he likes, he can also stop me from crying because it's Ashtosha. So she's telling in advance, please be an Ashtosha. Don't actually show your Rudra characteristic on me. That's what she's doing. So appeal the divine mercies. So our prayer should be very sincere. And you see, how to approach a deity who is both fierce and merciful? That is, we have to approach, we have to plead for the mercy, the Ashtosha part of it, So then the Lord's benediction would definitely give us the benedictions. Okay, that is and what role here again? And an aspect is here. You just mentioned that when we are discussing the previous sloka, what role did the relatives of Diti play in this regard? Or did Diti's relatives play any role at all? In trying to pacify the Lord? It's like this, See, for example, if I know, if I want to get something done to the chief minister, I can also directly plead, I can go and meet him and say, please, this is what I want to do. Please, can you help me? At the same time, I can also go through. Yeah, she actually, Diti approached to Sati also to put in a word. That's what it says. Though explicitly I could not find any reference, but then the implied reference was there. That means she took the help of her sister also to actually put in a word to Shiva. That's what I had. I saw an implication there, but then I didn't see any explicit reference there. Maybe if I find that, I will share with you. But in the sloka, there was no reference. So sloka purport, I didn't come across any reference. But let me check if there is any secondary reference, then I will share with you. But then there was an implicit, slant towards this. And that's why this question also came up. What role does the invocation of relatives play?
It's there in the next sloka.
In terms of, exactly. Okay. So what happens is that for us also, we can take this as a, an approach. That is, like even in the material world, and if we want to get things done, we may also request the people known to that particular person, to go through him. So similarly, when in divine thing also, we should. In the sense that we also know that if you want to approach Krishna, the Radha and the Balarama, if you approach through them, through his devotees, Krishna easily, he becomes more benevolent, So that is what's the approach. So that is what is being highlighted. Hare Krishna. Next, 36. Yes, in this sloka. So let him be pleased with us, since he is my brother-in-law, the husband of my sister Sati. He is also worshipable Lord of all women. He is the personality of all appearances and can show mercy towards women who are excused even by uncivilized hunters. So that's what's very clearly. So taking the help of known persons also would really help. So we go to the next one, 37. Yes, 37 if somebody could read. Hare Krishna.
मैत्रियोवाच सस्वर्गस्यस्यां लोक्याम् आसन्नं प्रवर्तवित्तं निवर्तसन्ध्या नियमो वर्याम् aha प्रजापति. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Maitreya said, the great sage Kashyapa thus addressed his wife, who was trembling because of fear that her husband was offended. She understood that he had been dissuaded from his daily duties of offering evening prayers, yet she desired the welfare of her children in the world. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. The great sage thus addressed by trembling because of fear that her husband offended. She understood that he had been dissuaded from his daily duties of offering, yet she desired the welfare of her children in the world. So the mother always desires the welfare of her child, right? So that way, she also, naturally, the Diti also really wanted that. She desired for the welfare of her child, which is the embryo in the womb. So, what
Hare Krishna,
now
Prabhu.
Kashyapa? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, I have a doubt. May I ask
Tell
a
me.
question?
Sure, Mataji.
The act was committed by both Kashyap and Diti.
Yeah.
Then why
Yes.
only Diti is the culprit and she is concerned about the welfare of the child in the embryo and the father is not taking any responsibility?
Yeah, it's a good question, Mataji. Can we park this question till the end? Because you will get an answer
Prabhu.
to that. Okay, it's a good question. You will get an answer. Yeah. Hare Krishna. So, Diti was fearful of offending her husband because she disturbed her husband's evening prayers. Because Kashyapa Muni, he had this daily routine. Evening is supposed to for his prayers. But then she disturbed that. But then at the same time, she had a concern for the child. So if you really see, and even family, who is more... Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So even in our family, you will see when there's a baby, small babies at home, who is more concerned about the child? Who shows that? Who expresses it more outwardly? Usually it is the mother, right? So the mother is more care. And who actually, in this case, who actually induced this sort of a situation? Because of who? Diti. Exactly. Because Kashyapa Muni advised, okay, sure. I mean, I can understand what you have in mind. Good, I can understand your sentiments. But then this is not the right time. He really told Diti and also wondered it's not appropriate. But Diti insisted on that. But then after the act, Diti realized her mistakes. Right? So at the same time, she wanted to protect the embryo. And that is the reason why, protect the child. And that's the reason why she wanted to pray to the Lord and to be more benevolent, to protect the child in the womb. And the next is that she is also pleading to her husband also. So we have to maintain regular devotional duties. So we should never try to deviate. When we have a what you call puja at home, when we have a ready routine, we have to do that. So that is our sorry. So that is the thing routine which we should always observe, right? And similarly, prioritize children's welfare spiritually. So it's also a practical application. We have to prioritize children's because they need support. Whoever needs support, we will have to support. It is not a question of what you call desire. It is a question of trying to do your duty, your prescribed duty. So that is more important. So she understood that she has been dissuaded from his daily duties, offering evening prayers. But yes, still because she wanted a child to be safe, he pleaded. So really. Okay. 38. Most of that.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Kashyapa Vacha. Aprayatyaat atmanaste doshan bahurtikad uta man nideshati charena devanam chati helanat. Translation. The learned Kashyapa said, because of your minds being polluted, because of defilement of the particular time, because of your negligence of my directions, and because of your being apathetic to the demigods, everything was inauspicious. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. So the learned Kashyapa said, because of your minds being polluted, because the defilement on a particular of the time, because of your negligence of my direction, because you're being apathetic to demigods, everything was untouched. I mean, inauspicious, it says. So what has happened is, whatever has happened was all inauspicious. The time was not auspicious. The mind was polluted, so that was not correct. Then neglecting the direction. Kashyapa Muni gave a direction, so it is not appropriate. It's not the time. But then that is also, he did not follow the direction. And at the same time, he was apathetic to the demigod because it's a time for the oblations to the Lord, but that was also to happen. So everything was, so neglecting Garbhadana is bad. the Garbhadhana rules. If you don't follow, that yields unwanted progeny. We have seen even in Bhagavad Gita, we have seen that, right? So yesterday the mother elaborately discussed this topic, right? One have to follow Prabhupada, but we don't. I can remember that is in when my younger days and all that's all very, it was all followed. But nowadays, I don't think nobody believes in it, nobody follows it. Maybe it'll keep with you, but not. It's not common at all nowadays. So we have to observe the spiritual timing and discipline. Follow the Garbhadhana rules. Then, when the couples are trained in regulative principles, the progeny will be, auspicious progeny will happen. Otherwise, there is no chance in this particular yuga. That's very, very important. Because everything that is given in the Vedic scriptures has got a meaning and it is for a purpose. Only that is that we fail to respect or understand that. Now we move on to the last sloka of the day. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, can I chant?
Please.
Bhavishyatastava bhadrav abhadre jartaradhamau lokan sapalam streams chandi muhur akrandal ishyataha. Sorry.
Read the
Translation. Yeah. O haughty one, you will have two contemptuous sons born of your condemned womb. Unlucky women, they will cause constant lamentation to all the three worlds.
Correct, sir. Thank you. O haughty one, you will have two contemptuous sons born of your condemned womb. Unlucky woman, this will cause constant lamentation to all those. Now, what this is proclaiming, what's going to happen. So, Kashyapa Muni says, the unlucky woman will cause all this act, what has been done, will cause trouble, not only for you, for the whole world, all the three worlds. You will come, out of you, two boys, you will have two children who will cause worries to all the three worlds, he says. So, if the progeny is not auspicious, the children out of that is going to cause only inauspicious things. So it's very, very important that we follow the Prabhupada. So condemned womb is contemptuous. So that's why we say even nowadays, they say, okay, when a lady is pregnant, they say you hear good things, in the sense that you hear chant, hear kirtans and all that. Why? It's because it also helps the child also. But then how much it happens is we have to see. Not everywhere, in every family it happens. So it's very, very important. So it's very important we follow our scriptures, what the scriptures are guiding us. If we don't go by the guidance of the scriptures, we end up in unwanted progeny or inauspicious scripture. So it's very clear from the verses that we saw that if we do not follow or if we succumb to materialistic pressure, desires, we are bound to fall. And if we do not, or rather, if we fail to follow the auspicious process, what the Vedas say, or what our scriptures say, definitely we will be bound to fall. It is not auspicious at all. So Shiva and Kashyapa, they were completely detached. So they are there to the woes. They focus on spiritual purification. But whereas Yuti, she transgressed. He was overcome by stupid So she broke all the scriptural timing. She was succumbing to the lust, leading to the shame. So what is the result? Spiritual, the two poles are the spiritual elevation and salvation versus condemned woman, cosmic lamentation. So eventually Diti has to really lament, feel bad only. And future also, when she had two children, but nobody praised them, right? And she was not so happy also at the time. So eventually, if we have to progress in our life, in our spiritual journey, we have to be detached from luxury. We have to adhere to the vows. We have to focus on spiritual things, like Shiva and Kashyapa, as they have indicated or guided us. Otherwise, we will have to be in a situation like Giti, who was overwhelmed by material desires, break all the scriptural timings, and will be in shame. So this is what we have seen today. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. I'm really, I hope I've been able to do some justice into the topics that has been given to me today. And again, thank Radhika Mataji and all the devotees here for patiently listening to me. And once again, ask for forgiveness if I have made any mistakes or really.
Very nice, Prabhu. Very nice.
Excellent session, Prabhu.
Very nice.
Very nice.
Excellent presentation.
Lovely, Prabhu, very nice.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
Very
so
nice
much.
presentation, Prabhu. Thank you
Very
for
nice,
such a
Prabhu.
nice class.
Thank you,
Thank you
Prabhu.
so much. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much,
Thank you so
Prabhu.
much.
Fantastic.
I'm humble. Thank
So
you so much.
beautiful.
I'm
Looking
humble.
forward for
Thank
more
you.
classes.
Thank you, Mata.
Thank you,
Really,
Prabhu.
thank you very much. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Prabhu, I
Hare
have a
Krishna.
Really cool.
Hare
here.
Krishna. Hare Krishna.
I
Yes,
have two
Mataji.
questions actually. Kashyapa Muni is
Yes,
meditating
Mataji.
on Brahma Jyoti, as in, like, we've learned that Mayavadis usually meditate on Brahma Jyoti. So how do we relate?
Correct. Yeah, Kashyapa Muni was, he was meditating on Brahma Jyoti, and so we have to consider him as only as a Mayavadi.
Okay, so he is a Mayavadi.
Yes.
Okay, and one more question related to Vaishnava Aparad, Prabhu. We were discussing about
Yeah.
Vaishnava Aparad also.
Yeah.
That, like,
Yeah.
we've seen that pure devotees are very tolerant and they don't take offense even if we commit. Rather, they take it as, I mean, they bless us instead. So then, how, like, where is the question of Vaishnava Aparad? And if they are taking offense, that means there is
Yeah.
some kind
Yeah.
of anartha still left. So we can't consider them Vaishnavas.
Absolutely, man. You hit the nail on the head. See, if you look at very exalted devotees, they don't really commit any Vaishnava breath, exalted devotee. But if you take whoever is in the neophyte level or advanced neophyte level, I mean, suppose if you're going to ask me what level I am, I would say that I'm only an advanced neophyte. I will never even consider myself anywhere Madhyamati kind, because that is itself is I mean, you have to reach a particular stage, right? Because today, if you really see around us, let it be in our sadhu sangha or let us see just I am not even discussing about the material world. Let us take in our sadhu sangha itself, if you see Mataji. There are many cases where we come across wherein one may find fault, or may feel that some other person or some other devotee may not be, or rather may be committing some sort of a wrong thing, and maybe having our judgment on that. Actually, we should not make any judgment because, as I said, everybody may be having some reason for doing certain things in a particular way. One maybe they are not aware of it. Another thing is that their experience in the previous occasion might have been different, or they may be having some directions which we really don't know. But prima facie, when we look at it, what happens is that we may think, oh, what the other person may be doing may be right or not. Or we should not make a judgment. But when we make a judgment and we are even trying to pass any sort of what you call an impression, then it is to be considered as a Vaishnava. But when you come to the exalted devotees, let us say Prabhupada or that higher devotees, I mean, they will never commit. Even if you look at Amadishtas Prabhuji and all that levels, they will never be committing. When they say something, sometimes they may appear very harsh, I can tell you. But the message is not for, suppose, Prabhuji is being angry with me, that message may not be directly for me. It may be for the group or maybe for somebody else. They will understand that. So they are expressing things in different ways, which should be best, which they think is best for the devotees or for the particular group. So that is the difference between, I would say, a position where we are and then a position where other exalted devotees are. So definitely whenever we pass a judgment or when we are passing to make an impression on somebody, then it could lead to Vaishnava. Got it, Mataji?
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much. And thank you for a wonderful
Hare
class.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Oh, I do better. Thank you, Professor. Thank you. Really,
Prabhuji,
thanks
I
for all
have
of you.
one
Thanks.
question.
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah. So you can hear, na? There is echoing in on the other.
Yes, okay.
I joined from two places.
Oh.
Yeah. Prabhuji, what I wanted to ask, like, you can hear me, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you well. Okay.
Yeah. So basically, Prabhuji, we say that the living entity has just a free will. Actually, we are bound by three modes, but we have a little free will given by the Lord. But when we see these pastimes, like it was all God's plan already that they have to come as a demons. So somehow the circumstance will be created that they should be born. So where is the free will, Prabhuji? Like, is it like we are
very nice
completely
question.
under control of God? Is
Yes,
there any free?
absolutely. Yes, what you say is a very nice, brilliant question. In fact, I was thinking about it yesterday also. The thing is, let us look at it this way, Mataji. Yes, I am there, my wife is there, I have my son with me, like that. I was just thinking, why would, my wife, that Jivatma, come into my family? Similarly, my son, why did he come into my family? And they are doing certain things the way they are. I was just thinking. Because as I was preparing this only, I just got this idea, this thought. It's because every Jivatma has got his own ichas, at the same time his karmas also maybe, because we don't know how many lives they have already gone through. So God fulfills that in that particular form. So I get a material designation Mohanda. Similarly, Kashyapa Muni has got a material designation as Kashyapa Muni. And Diti, she's got a material designation. And they have to perform that. They have to undergo all these things. That is, so when Lord chose to perform a particular Leela, he chooses persons accordingly, the actors accordingly. We are all only Nimitta Martam, that we are only tools. Got
So
it, Mataji?
Prabhuji,
You get
should
the
we
answer?
think in a way? Yeah. So should we think in a way like Lord make people to act only who are devotees, right? Yeah, where he is influencing everything, the actions also. Is it like that?
Maybe devotees, maybe he is only influencing on the Jivatma, because everybody are his sons, right? So he is influencing, because for some people, like a teacher teaches the students in many different ways. So it is not one particular method for all, right? For each person, there is a particular thing. So the Lord, in order to, in fact, invoke or rather evoke the, let us say, the bhakti in somebody, he may be putting somebody in certain conditions, maybe. That is all his plans. That we cannot really place it. But what we can definitely say is that everything, that's why we say everything happens for a purpose. And it is that for every karya, there's a karana. And for every karana, who is the ultimate reason? It is the Lord.
Cause Krishna.
Exactly. So that's why we say everything happens by the will of the Lord. So there are so many actors, and every actors are brought together in the particular stage by the Lord. And according to their own karma and own icha, they perform different actions. So the limited also, it is not that he forced something. I was able to clear a little bit of it.
Your voice is breaking.
Is it okay, Mataji?
Yes, yes. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Mataji?
Yes, yes. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
So now can we go for the presentation? Yeah, Chitra Mataji's presentation is there. So we will go through that. Sorry, Mataji, I took some time out. I wanted to close at 15, but sorry.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Looking forward to it.
Hare Krishna. My humble obeisances to all dear devotees. And you all know I'm in a fix. So whatever mistake I may commit, kindly forgive me and please bless me to try my best. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. See, Canto 1, Chapter 14. Krishna's disappearance. Actual Krishna's disappearance is given in the 11th canto, last chapter. But then what do we see here? Why it is Krishna's disappearance? The highlights of this chapter is that, see, King Yudhishthira is now profoundly, his anxiety, realization of the Lord that he has already departed. How did he come to know? In the previous chapter, Narada Muni tells him, correct? Yudhishthira asks, what are our duties? How long we are supposed to be here? Then Narada Muni tells that as long as Krishna is here. So that was a hint. And unfortunately, now what happens? The ominous nature of the society, like seasonal irregularities and bizarre animal behavior. Cows are crying, it's not giving milk, etc. And totally degraded human beings. Their behavior is marked by sudden greed, anger, etc. And also, there's a great breakdown of relationship, correct? So seeing all these things, and of course, after like the first two verses, Yudhishthira is thinking, Arjuna left long back to know about the future further plans of Krishna. He has not yet come. So like then when he is in great anxiety, verse number 22, 23, 24, say that Arjuna comes back, but to his disappointment. Arjuna's arrival is so dejected. After seeing his arrival, again he gets into more, deeper anxiety. Okay, so it is described as the eclipse of the divine. Okay, so what is the missing emissary here? Following the establishment of Maharaj Yudhishthira's region, what happened when Krishna took them all to get the blessings, actually the jnana from Bhishma Pitama. What happened? It is given so beautifully in the 10th chapter, right? There, the Kamamba Varsham Varjanya, lot of rain was there. Sarva Kama Dugat Mahi. The earth was producing sufficient grains. Everything was given. But, full and full, this rule was, kingdom was, like Chakara Rajyam Dharmana. Even after that, suddenly now what happened? Why he is seeing all this, impeccable acts? So the reason is, he is thinking, maybe Krishna has left this, departed from this material world. That is what he is thinking. Okay. So now, what are all the visual things which he is seeing? Sun and the shadows. So in Kali Yuga, we all know, Prana Payal Chiga Sabya, Kalavasim Yuge Janaga, Manda Sumandamatayo, Mandabakyo Vipadrataga. Added to that, it is a evident fact that Kali Yuga is like that. But the theological consent is what Krishna has left, and he was the most powerful. That's a verse, what is that? Natasya karyam karanam cha nidyate, natas samasya adhikasya drishyate. Asammurdva he is. No one is equal to him and no one is above him. That powerful he is. So obviously when he leaves, some symptoms will be there, correct? And the ecosystem also totally degraded over here. The material world, like seasonal unchanges, reverses are there. This verse, third verse, is a very, very important verse. Kalasya cha gatim raudram. What is raudram? It's very, very fearful. This kalasya, the eternal time, it is looking so fearful. Okay? Viparyastra ritu dharminaha. All the seasons are changing. In Kali Yuga, we are seeing, untimely rain, and the total season is getting shifted. And Papiyasim Rinam Vartam. It's again very, very important. What is this Vartam? Vartam is means of livelihood. People started earning their livelihood in unfair means. Okay, how we will see? Before that, we will see what happened. Krodha, Lobha, all these things are inevitable. It has become inevitable. People are Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moga, Mada, Matsarya, all these vices are filled in every human being. Is it not? So why does it happen? What is meant by foul means? Foul means of livelihood. It implies deviation from one's Swadharma. In Kali Yuga, that Varnashrama Dharma is not at all followed, right? So people are deviating from their Swadharma. So Krishna tells, right, in the Bhagavad Gita 3.35, what does he say? Shreyan Swadharmo Vigunaka, Paradharma Swanishitaga, Swadharmo Nidanam Shreya, Paradharma Bhayavaga. What is this? Leaving, instead of doing our Swadharma, taking the shelter of Paradharma is very, very dangerous. Also, it tells in 18.7 also, the same verse is repeated, except for the last two padas. Shayan Swadharmo Viknaga, Paradharma Swanishtitaga. What does he say there in 18th chapter? Swabhavaniyatam karma kurvanapnoti kilbisham. Say, if you do Swadharma, even if you do it not in the prescribed manner, it will not incur any sin. Same thing we see in Bhagavatam also, no? 5th chapter. What is it? Tektva swadharmo bhajatam. Tektva swadharma bhajatam. What is that verse? I'm not getting. Tektva swadharma bhajatam harim bhujo. And apakva. Even if we are not, even if we are performing these activities immaturely, Krishna will come to rescue us. Correct? It is not necessary to do it in the prescribed manner. As he says, Apiche suduracharo bhajate mamananyavat sadhureva samantavya samyak vyavastito gisaga. Same way here says, even if you do not perform your swadharma, I will take care of you. But what is the use of doing the parodharma even perfectly? Correct? So we are not doing our Swadharma. That is the main reason. Also, as Prabhu said now, people have become, too greedy. So what does Prabhu says? Param drishva nivartate. Vishyami nivartate viraga rasya deginaga. Rasavarjam rasopyasa. Param drishva nivartate. We have deviated. See, we cannot stop the desire. But what we have to do? Desire is the nature of the soul. What are we supposed to do? We are supposed to redirect it for a higher purpose, right? So now here what is happening? Maharaja Yudhishthira is observing all this disruption, and he is waiting for Arjuna's arrival. And see, the thunderbolt and the declining sun rays and the disasters, everything is making him so morose. So he is telling Bhima what happened, why he has not come. And in this process, when he is, sorry, just forgive me for my bad throat. Nimitta anyat rastani kaletva anugate nrinam loba adya adharma prakritim drishtvo vachamsva nripaha. What's foul means of livelihood and the polluted transaction, cheating even amongst the friends, too much of quarrel for everything. And in 19th verse he says, Na pibanti stanam vatsa. Cows are not drinking enough milk. Na dughyanti chamatraha. They are not giving also, not drinking, the calves, sorry. The calves are not drinking enough milk and the cows are not giving enough milk. Why? Again, because of the Kali Yuga. But the same thing we again learnt in the 10th chapter. The cows were giving plenty of milk, and the like earth was getting moisturized by the milk of cow. And he is also experiencing some symptoms. The left eye is quivering for him, the whole body is quivering. All these things are increasing his palpitation, and it strengthens the doubt. Why these things are happening? 100% mostly, my doubt is cleared over here. Krishna has left this material world like that. He is thinking. During that time, Arjuna is arriving. And when Arjuna arrives, 1 second, I think I went to the... Okay, Arjuna is arriving. The moment Arjuna arrives, he looks so dejected. But in the dejected condition also, Arjuna is paying obeisances to Yudhishthira Maharaj. And now Yudhishthira Maharaj's anxiety is, it is increased, multifaceted. Because he had never seen Arjuna like this. And he's asking hundreds of reasons. Oh, Arjuna, you never used to look like this. What has happened? On the way, did you meet somebody, or somebody who is not equal to you, or less powerful, defeated, or did not satisfy any women's, desire, because it's a Kshatriya dharma. So he's asking so many questions to Arjuna. Arjuna is not able to answer. He is not in a condition to answer actually. And before this, he is asking the welfare of everybody in Dwaraka. He did not leave anybody. Each and everybody's welfare he is asking. And finally, he himself is assuming, this can be the reason, Arjuna. Is this the reason? And see, when the Lord is here, the earth is marked with his footprints, right? So that is another reason that the signs what he is seeing right now, this was no longer to be seen during that time. And then finally, from 25th verse onwards, Yudhishthira is directly asking Arjuna, oh my dear Arjuna, my dear brother, please tell me what happened, whether everybody is doing well, or that everybody is doing well, great, that a respectable grandfather Surasena is happy or not. And he's asking about Vasudeva also. What is his mood? Because they were missing Krishna. Now Krishna returned to Dwaraka. So he wants to know how they all are feeling. And about all the wives, importantly, the 7 wives of Krishna. He's asking how are they all doing. And finally, he is realizing that, okay, Arjuna is not answering any of my question. So definitely now, Arjuna is unwilling to answer. That means Krishna has definitely left this world. And so finally in the last verse, directly he is asking, oh Arjuna, is that you are feeling empty? Because all time, because you might have lost your most intimate friend, Lord Krishna. Oh my brother Arjuna, I can think of no other reason. Because how much ever scientific development, improvement is taking place here in this last verse, Srila Prabhupada is giving the analogy that human efforts, how much ever it improves, can it stop death? Can doctors give medicine to stop death for the eternity of the soul? Not at all possible, right? So, and the ultimate sanction is the opulence of Sri Krishna. That is, God's sanction is the only immediate cause of all happenings. His action. Actually, the one more thing very important. What is the reason? Why is it happening? We saw that Swadharma and Vidharma. But one more thing, we all are in ignorance. So how to overcome this ignorance? What is the only remedy to overcome this ignorance? Kali Yuga Dharma. That is chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Not only that, when, this, sorry. The another one is reading Bhagavatam in association. When we read Bhagavatam, actually Krishna himself told, Krishna Sudama Bhagate, Dharma Jnana Adi Bigisaga, Kalau Nashte, Drishamesho Purano Arko Aduno Uditaha. So Krishna is telling, I am in Bhagavatam. Take the shelter of Bhagavatam. So that is the only medicine for this Kali Yuga. And you know, in Damodar Leela also we say, no, the Vedic reality. But it's why we are not able to realize? Number one, endeavor. Our personal endeavor is less. So if the endeavor is more, Lord automatically visualizes our endeavor and gives his mercy. So the endeavor and Krishna's mercy, if it is there, as we keep learning here in the association of great devotees, we will be able to definitely realize that transcendental knowledge, which will help us to go to Goloka. Hare Krishna, Vancha Kalpatarupesa Kripa Sindhu Bhaivacha, Patitana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnavavrinda ki jai. Thank you so much, all devotees, for patiently listening to me. I know I could not continue because of my throat. Kindly forgive me. And thank you, Mohandas Prabhu, for adhering to my request of keeping the session because of the L1 class. Thank you very much. My humble request and thanks to Radhika Mataji also.
Hare Krishna Mataji. I missed your session because I had another session, so I quickly had to go there and come back. But I will see the recording. I'm sure it will be fantastic. Thank you so much, Mataji.
Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Nice presentation, Mataji.
Very, very
So
nice,
nice.
Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Very nice, Mataji.
Thank you,
Hare
dear.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare Krishna.
Very
And
nice presentation,
very nice.
Mataji.
And especially I would like to appreciate Mohandas Prabhu also. It's his first session on Bhakti
Yes,
Vaibhav
yes,
Fast
yes,
Track.
yes. Very
So,
nice.
Prabhu rocking. Very nice. Thank you so much.
All
for a
your
lovely
blessings,
presentation.
Mataji.
Not at
And
all.
all
Krishna
the
Balram blessing always there.
yeah.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Prabhu, one small request, please send me attendance link. It looks like, my attendance I tend to forget to mark when I take class and many times. So, yes.
I will try to.
Yeah, sure. So, thanks to everybody. And you already put the attendance link, Prabhu, for everyone?
Yes.
Oh, put up.
Yeah,
Okay.
Sarita Mataji has kindly.
Sarita Mataji has done. Can I request her to repost it for me, at least personally, because I have not marked. Half the time I forget, half the time I can't when I'm taking
Sending,
class.
Mataji. I am sending.
Sure. Thank you so much. So, any other doubts? Any other things? Thank you so much. Got it. So, if there is nothing else, we'll just do one shloka as a matter of sentiment and then we'll close.
Hare Krishna Mataji, I have a query.
Yes, go ahead, please. Mohandas Prabhu will answer the query. Yes, go ahead.
Mataji, is Brahma a brahmachari or he is a grahastha?
Oh, very classic example. On to Mohandas Prabhu.
That's a lovely question. So I will only want to put the question back to you first before I answer, Mataji. What do you think, Mataji? And why?
I had a doubt. I think he is grahastha. A brahmachari only because he is not maintaining the grahastha type of relationships with all the progeny that he is creating. I don't know, Prabhu. That's why I'm asking. I'm in two minds.
Like Mataji always says, like we have to go by the scriptures. It's not what we feel. So I think I tend to go with you, Mataji. It's not a grahastha. Because what is the definition of grahastha, Mataji? It means you should be a householder, right?
Yes, Prabhuji. And taking care of the responsibilities of a householder.
Yeah. But if you really look at it in terms of Varnashrama, what happens is definitely when he is actually he's called as a chief engineer, or that his job is to create progeny, right?
Go ahead, Prabhu. Sorry, accident.
But then chief engineer we call to Prabhu, like in the first shloka we have told chief engineer as the Lord.
Correct.
Lord is the chief engineer who knows the design, and then we have a different people executing it.
Yes. So we are on behalf of the Lord executing things. Correct? So that means if we have to develop, or if we have to develop progeny, in which ashrama we have to do it. So then it becomes a grahastha ashrama, right?
Is both then?
So he is such an yeah. So, but then when you look at Brahma, Shiva, and Vishnu, when you look at their duties, so their duties cannot. We should not look at it as like our ordinary persons, right? Because ordinary persons, for whom is this Varnashrama described or structured? This Varnashrama is structured for whom actually? It is structured only for the ordinary Jivatmas, right? But then, depending upon what type of activity everyone does, we try to slot them into different sort of. So, in my, I mean, what I could understand from the Shastras is that we should not consider Brahma, Shiva, Vishnu to be ordinary persons like us. That is number one. And number two, if you are going to describe himself by the type of the activity that he is interested in, what he is doing, then he is performing the work of a Grahastha, right? So this is what I could understand from the Shastras. Radhika Mataji.
Very well answered. So Mataji, this Varna Ashra, these are all more from I think Prabhu almost answered, are more materialistic way for us to understand. Right? Which is why Srimad Bhagavatam talks about in the second shloka, Dharma prochita kaitavotra paramo nirmatsaranam satam vedyam vastamamatra vastu shivadam tapatrayon moolanam Srimad Bhagavatam Mahamuni krite kim vyapare ishvara sadhyo hridaya varudayatra kritivi shishrushubhistachanat. Because normally, as Prabhu said, so these are very much after the Manusmritas comes, right? So how Grahastha should be there, because these are structured way of following. Brahma was even prior to that, right? So now I'm going to ask you a question and you'll get the answer. Is Krishna a brahmachari or no?
No.
Why so much of said?
No, he's a Grahastha.
He's a brahmachari only.
You know,
He is
when
a brahmachari because he does not associate with any of the
Mataji,
material.
once that river
when he
incident is
passes,
there, no?
the gopis
when
were
he passes, the
crossing,
gopis were going to.
Very
crossing
nice.
the river
So very
in
nice, right?
Vrindavana.
Thank you so much. So
Durvasa
there's
Muni
a
was on the other side. Yeah, Durvasa Muni was on the other
They
side.
asked Durvasa Muni.
Mataji, that incident is there, so it proved that he's a brahmachari.
Yeah. So now why I'm asking this is Priyadarshini Mataji, very nicely she said no, because what we see is what our mind thinks, right? So what we have seen is, we have seen Rasa dance of Krishna, 100% no brahmachari, cancel. Or we'll think of Dwaraka, so many queens, no. But the definition of brahmachari is also something called Grahastha brahmachari. You know, there is a term which is coined by Srila Prabhupada, which says that, somebody who begets children for the pleasure of Krishna or to make them Krishna conscious also comes under Grahastha brahmachari. So anyone who does not do anything for satisfying in senses also comes under the category of brahmachari. So if you want to define brahmachari from that point of view, yes, Brahma is 100% brahmachari. From the fact that he never did anything to satisfy his senses, except for one moment, which we saw in chapter 12, when he saw Vak or Saraswati, that he got carried away. But other than that, Grahastha, as per our definition of Grahastha, is to have marriage, children, become, right? So he had children, but was it seminal way? Not really. It was largely his thoughts, his things, right? So therefore, he will qualify to be a brahmachari as per scriptures. But for our mind, we will concoct and tell he is a Grahastha, just like how we are used to putting him in a frame. Just like how if I ask you, is Brahma a Brahmin or a Kshatriya or a Vaishya or a Sudra, right? You will tell he's a Brahmin. Because a Brahmin is supposed to have topmost qualities. But was there Varnas in the first place when Brahma was born? No, it came probably a little later after the, what do you call them? After the Manus came, right? Because if you see Manus will come under the category of Iksha, Vakundal comes under Kshatriya. Though the origin is Brahma. So, and including Asuras are coming from there. So in one line, if I have to answer you, Mataji, yes, he is a brahmachari as per the definition of brahmachari. But for our point of view, we will treat him as a Grahastha because we are seeing anyone who's progeniting is Grahastha. But for all practical reasons, he will fall under the category of brahmachari. As per the definition which Srila Prabhupada has spoken and our acharyas have explained. Did it make sense, Mataji? Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji. Wonderfully explained.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Let me know if you're planning to propose him.
I'm already married.
Acha, okay. To whom? To whom? I was expecting
Krishna
this answer.
devotee. Krishna devotee.
Okay, so I was expecting everyone to tell when they say I'm already married. I thought someone will tell that I'm already married to Krishna. So our original Purusha, Param Purusha will always be Krishna, right? So with that in mind, remember our target is Gaulaka Vrindavan, and very nicely Mataji told to Krishna's devotee. That was also very smooth. Now let's go back, stay blessed Mataji, and let's go back to one time reading the shloka and we will end. Savai Mana Krishna. Savai Mana Krishna Padara Vindayor Vasamsi Vaikunta Gunanuvarnane Karo Harir Mandira Marganadasho Shrutim Chakarachyuta Satkadodhaye.
Savai Mana Krishna Paramavindayo Vachamsi Vaikunta Gunanuvarnane Harer Mandira Marganadasho Chakarachyuta
Satkadodhaye
Mukunda Lingalaya Darshane Drisho Tatkritya Bharta Sparshenga Sangamam Granam Chatatpada Saroja Shauribe Srimad Tulasya Rasanata Darpite
Mukunda Lingalaya Darshane Pratyagatra Spashengamam Pranam Chatatpada
Saroja Saurabe
Shloka. Pado Hare Kshetra Padanu Sarpane Shiro Rishikesha Padabi Vandane Kamam Chadase Natu Kama Kamyaya Yata Uttama Shloka Janashrayarati.
Madhav Hare Kshetra Anu Sarpane Rishikesha Padabi Vandane Jadasena tu Kama Kamyaya Uttama Shloka Janashrayarati.
Uttama Shloke Janarati.
Last one time, all of us together, right? After me. Padav Hari Kshetra Padanu Sarpane Shiro Rishikesha Padabi Vandane Kamam Cha Dase Natu Kama Kamyaya Yata Uttama Shloka Janashraya Ratihi.
Padau Hare Kshetra Padanu Sarpane Shiro Rishikesha Padabi Vandane Jadasena tu Kama Kamyaya Uttama Shloka Janashrayarati.
Hare Krishna, Hari Bol. Thank you so much. And I will conclude for the day. And please remember, we have a big debate holding for our next session. So let's end the session. Prabhu, I think you have to end the session. Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
please stop.
Okay, but I will.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. And thanks to all of you all. Thank you so much.